Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we are taking a look at the signals this week for the A1 trading trend scanner. We're going to be taking a look at which markets it is saying are trending the strongest, as well as some potential signals to look out for going into the week ahead. Now what we can see here is that this scanner, if you're not familiar with what it is an indicator that we built here, basically designed to look for trends and pullback setups in those trends across any time frame. Today we're going to be looking specifically at the daily chart going into this week ahead. It is Saturday when I'm filming this, so the market is closed, but I figured we could just take a look at some of the signals and see for ourselves what's going on here. Okay, so what I want to first say here is that this tool uses basically two things. It looks for moving average confluence, so if all three are down or all three are up in sync and in order, then that would be considered a bullish or bearish trend. And then it's looking for a strength meter check on the RSI 7. So it's using, I have it set to 7. You can change it to something else if you prefer. But my idea here is what I'm looking for is an overextended move on the RSI as a potential signal in combination with a dominant trend, just to get an idea. It's not necessarily like a golden signal that the market's going to reverse or keep going or anything like that. It's just a general idea of which markets are trending. So a couple that stuck out to me are Euro USD. So you can see here, this is the daily chart. So we do have this longer term momentum. You see the 200, then the 100, then the 50, which are the moving averages that I have selected. And we do overall see a overbought reading on the RSI. What that's telling us is that the trend here to the downside is still strong, and now there may be some opportunities to look for downside on the Euro USD. In fact, I actually really like this here, this level where we see this the daily candle here closed with a nice little bit of a rejection there at the 1.19 level. That could mean that Euro USD may be due for a bit more of a downward push going into this next week. We'll have to watch it for sure, to see how things play out once the market opens back up. We do have a bank holiday on Monday for the US, so things may be a little bit quiet getting into the new week. But again, watch this area to see if momentum can slow. If there are signs for continuation to the downside, we may see some for the Euro USD. I do think that that is an interesting signal to talk about, especially if something positive comes out for the dollar. It's not something I would rush to take a trade on myself, just because of the very weak news that we had on the dollar on Friday. So again, just one to look out for from a trend analysis perspective. We do have a downward trend here on the euro dollar, and we are peaking up into potentially some areas of resistance. We'll move on now and we'll take a look. You can see dollar yen and dollar Swiss are printing bullish, but there's not quite a signal. Maybe had we gotten a little bit more of a push to the downside, there would be some signals there, but we do see that that is not an option just yet. Euro GBP also bearish, but not printing any signals. Euro CHF, however, looks interesting as well. So if you think that there is potentially some risk off sentiment coming into the markets sometime soon, maybe due to the pandemic or COVID fears, etc., this may be one to consider. For example, you do have this thing in an overall downtrend, and now you can actually see it's peaking up into not only just that, we do have momentum to the downside longer term here on the daily chart, and a peaking out level of resistance there on the A1 trend scanner. So I do like this thing to the short side, Euro CHF. If you are looking for some, looking for a chance to buy the Swiss franc, this may be a decent one in my opinion. Euro NZD. So this one's also printing. So this one, not such a great signal for me. I'm just going to skip this one since this one doesn't look great to me. Pound Aussie, however, very interested. Look at this. So we do have lots of momentum to the upside. We did see some strength come into the Aussie dollar, which is pushing the pound, relatively speaking, lower. However, the overall trend here looks very, very strong. And it actually may be worth noting that you do have some interesting levels to talk about here. Let's actually draw a fib. So I'm going to do this. Let me change that to a better color really quick. I'm going to change that to black. And there we go. So I do want to point out this. I do like the 50% level here for the pound Aussie. If we get a little bit more of a retracement, there may be some opportunities that I'd be interested personally in going into next week on the 50% retracement level. And also that might even be even more oversold level in the context of a strong upward trend. So I do like that pound Aussie to the upside printing here. I do, like I said, anytime it's on this radar, it's something that is usually, one that I'm watching. By the way, if there are markets on this that you would like to change out, you can always do that. So if I go to indicator list and pull this up, for example, A1 trend scanner, right? If I click here, I can actually change any of these to any charts that I want. So if there's something else that you would rather have the tool watching for you, then by all means, feel free to change it. But these are just the ones that I personally like. And they are also the default settings. When you get the tool, you can use them however you'd like. Okay, so other ones to consider. Now, I'm not really a big fan of some of these ones as well. I'll get to the Aussie ones in a second. But pound New Zealand also looks kind of interesting. It's been quite sold off here. You've got pound New Zealand coming down very, very hard. May see, if you see signs of retracement or some form of buying, maybe look at this one a little bit closer. But again, right now we do see a little bit of a runaway train. So I'm not just jumping right into these or anything like that, but they are showing, an overall strengthening market and looking for that opportunity to maybe get involved at a pullback. Now, Aussie dollar, not really so interested anymore on this one. The Australian economy is looking to reopen and things are looking quite bullish there. So for me right now, this is not, from just a purely technical analysis perspective, we do still have that downward trend. So if you're, a purely technical trader and there's something that you see, by all means, make your own trading decisions. But the idea here is that we do see the Aussie dollar higher time frame. We see it pulling back in the context of what has been a pretty strong downward trend. So maybe there's some setups there, maybe at the 50% or the 61.8. You could keep an eye on those levels. But again, the trend scanner printing that this may be due for some form of drop back maybe this week. So we'll see if that happens. Aussie Swiss as well, same sort of story. You can see, overall downward trend. We're seeing this thing coming back to retest some pretty interesting levels there going into next week. So maybe worth watching some of these Aussie pairs. Again, a lot of them looking quite similar. So NZD CAD, maybe looking a little bit different here. This one not super interesting to me just because it's broken that 200 and looking bullish now, or at least not bullish, but at least it's been sort of pushing higher and breaking out. So maybe not the most interesting to me. But again, going back to overall, my most interested ones are actually the first two we looked at, Euro USD and Euro CHF, just using the trend scanner. Again, what I like about this is that if we were to look at something like CAD Swiss, right? Not so interesting because, yeah, it's trending to the upside, but we're not at a dip, right? For me as a trader, I'm looking for setups in which the market is trending higher and I can actually look to get in on a dip, right? So I want to buy that dip in favor of the overall trend. And that's the whole point behind this trading tool. So if you would like to get a copy of this trading tool, there will be a link down below in the description. You can get access to it. You can make the purchase on the website if you would like to get it for your MetaTrader 4. And let me know if you have any questions. There's always a team here at A1 Trading to help you if you would like to get the software tool or have any questions. We're there to help. Thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed this and happy trading this week.